नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Negative thinking, Lotus Feet Solutions. So welcome to this seminar on mental dilemmas to divine shelter, Arjuna's crisis, and our own healing. So let's be honest. We've all been there. I send a message, seen, but no reply. The mind says, oh, they hate me. I'm not important. One little headache. And then the mind may say, oh, maybe it's a brain tumor. Maybe you have some sickness. Maybe our boss or somebody we're working under says, can we talk? And then the mind goes, I'm getting fired. I'll never get a job again. I'll live under a bridge. That's everybody's everyday overthinking. It's actually a real epidemic, I would say. But guess what? Arjuna, even Arjuna, the mighty warrior, he had a full-blown panic attack in the middle of a war. For us, it's every day. But for him, he says, my limbs are trembling. My bow is slipping. I can't stand. My mind is spinning. Does it sound familiar? So that's the ancient version of I'm not okay. When Arjuna says, no, my limbs are trembling, that's the ancient old version of saying I'm not okay. How are you, Prabhuji? My limbs are trembling. In Bhajagovindam song, Shankaracharya actually says that nothing can save you. Not Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana karvam arati nimesha kala sarvam maya mayamidam akhilam hitva. So the fear of what if this happens, what if that happens, cannot be saved by, say, Google or YouTube. Meditation apps also cannot really save us, but only if we can connect to the Krishna app inside. So this verses from Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, text 21 to 23, it reflects this duality of the material life, pleasure and pain, success and failure, peace and unrest. And like Krishna says in the second chapter, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. When the mind is untrained, then it becomes a battlefield for all these conflicting desires and fears and anxiety. And the truth is this, even like great person like Arjuna could feel this situation. So there's nothing bad about the fact that we may experience breakdown in the battlefield of our life. So the chaos of this overthinking, it will end not by analysis, but by taking the shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And that's the concept of Sharanagati that our Vaishnavacharyas again and again acknowledge and push us towards. Okay, so let's get started. I'll be referring to the Bhagavad Gita verses first chapter, 21 to 30. So the modern crisis of overthinking. So when Arjuna is saying, Vepatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate, right? He is like, oh, I can't take it any longer. My Gandiva is slipping from my own hands. I'm just shivering. So the modern crisis of overthinking in today's world, the parallel is our mind is flooded with paralyzing indecision or self-doubt. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I chant now or should I chant later? Should I take up Bhakti Vaibhava or not? So there is a self-doubt. Can I really manage doing this? Can I take up this responsibility or not? So there's like a constant indecision. And then there is like Arjuna, right? He was trapped. And then what he was trapped in this endless loop of worst case scenarios. How many of us experience that worst case scenarios? What if nobody comes to the class today? Right? What if I don't feel the keys of the place? The worst case scenarios is like overthinking loop, fear of the future, grief about the past, or confusion in the present. So Krishna speaks about that. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. Shochati is lamentation. Kankshati is hankering. So in endless loop happens if I'm stuck either in the past or in the future. But if I'm in the present, what happens? I don't have regrets anymore. So constant regrets about the past also was Arjuna's thing. Oh, why did this happen? Oh, maybe we should have done this way. I don't want to kill my people. And then Arjuna, the difference between Arjuna and me, I'll say, because maybe some of you, it's an easier thing. Arjuna is that he said, Shishasteham sadhimam tam prapannam. He said, I can't figure it out. I don't know how to get out of this overthinking loop. So Krishna, he was humbly appealing to Krishna to help, and he surrendered. So that anxiety about uncertain future is a constant for human beings. And Arjuna goes from, I can't do it, you help me. And maybe in our cases, we go, no, I'll try this way, I'll try that way, and I'll fix it in this way. And like yesterday, Kantya Prabhu was speaking about the mental food. I may resort to scrolling, or I may resort to watching some movies or something to try to remove the anxiety. So that's a real turning point for Arjuna. Not externally, but internally, because externally he's in the battlefield. And so overthinking is actually a mechanism based on fear. It's fear-based mechanism. And it's also control-based. What if things don't go my way? So that uncertainty always spins in our mind more and more. But the truth is, the healing begins only if we can take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. That's how Arjuna was training his mind. I mean, Krishna was next to him physically. And we have holy name, we have Srila Prabhupada's books. Otherwise, even Arjuna could collapse on the battlefield, what to speak of me. So it's not a small thing. A higher refuge is available. Just about turning to it. Okay. Any points? Anything? Okay. So the theme is courage is not about never breaking down. It's not. It's actually about knowing when to stop pretending that I can fix it alone. So that's the biggest challenge for modern day situation. That for us to get from where Arjuna was, all the confusion and Vepatushta Sharire me and everything, and to come to Shishyasteham Sadhimam Tvam Prapanna, modern day situation, we get paralyzed, we get into endless loops, we get into constant regrets, we get into anxiety, we try this way, we try that way, we don't surrender. So the concept of surrender is new in one sense, because the struggle is not new. The struggle is the same. But in Bhagavad Gita, when these verses 21 to 30, when we meet Arjuna, he's a noble warrior standing in the battle, facing a storm of negative thoughts. That definitely mirrors at least my own mental battles. All right. If anybody has any comments or questions, you can always raise your hand or just speak. Okay. So we'll see a little bit close up. In 128, physical anxiety. Arjuna is experiencing physical anxiety. So we look at a mirror of our own situation. So let's see physical symptoms of mental distress. So what does he say? He says, my somatic signs of anxiety, my limbs are quivering. My mouth is drying up. So he's unable to even stand straight. Arjuna experiences these symptoms of anxiety, shaking body, dry mouth, goosebumps. Maybe you experience that sometimes. Modern psychology, they call this somatization. When overthinking manifests physically, I experienced that when writing exams, my hands used to sweat. My hands would be trembling. And sometimes I'm standing on a stage and my Guru Maharaj is in the audience. The body starts shaking and whatnot. And then, so physical symptoms are important to notice. When something is happening physically, it means that the soul is not aligned. Something is wrong there. Then what is happening? Loss of identity is also happening to Arjuna. So in the verse 129, and when he says, Ghandivam Shramshate Hastat, that Gandiva is the most powerful weapon and it's slipping from Arjuna's hands. It's like inconceivable, honestly. How can a Gandiva slip? So Arjuna's warrior identity, he is crumbling as his bow is slipping. So sometimes it may be for us, maybe I speak English, maybe I know the Sanskrit verse, but in the middle of the class, I may forget that verse. Or the teacher calls us in the middle of a class and says, which verse is it? Right. So the loss of like, oh, wait a minute, what's happening? And sometimes it can happen as a parent, if your child, falls or something, there's a loss of, am I a good parent or not? This is like a concept of, I'm not responsible in this situation. So he's losing his strength. He's losing his mind, basically. So this bow, Gandiva, it's actually representing Arjuna's dharma. So he feels unworthy. Sometimes, especially women, I think we experience this feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, especially when we are under pressure. We may feel like, oh, why did I do this? Why is this happening? So sometimes we also experience it with existential burnout. I don't know if when you were studying medical, you experienced that. So when we go through that, I've given my best, can't do it anymore. In Arjuna's case, he has the most powerful weapon, and it's not lack of weapons in his case. He can pass the exam, but it's mental, it's emotional, it's psychological. So it's existential burnout. A lot of people quit corporate jobs not because they are not qualified, because they experience a psychological burnout. It's not that they cannot perform. So then what happens is the mind, right? Brahmatitva chame manaha. Arjuna is telling Krishna, my mind is reeling. What does the mind reading represent? The mind represents the paralysis of overthinking. They say paralysis by analysis. Have you heard that? Sometimes you have to do something, or maybe you have to stitch up a patient or something, and you just get frozen. You don't know what to do. You're analyzing there and you get paralyzed. So here it's a clear sign of cognitive overwhelm. So modern therapy calls it freeze mode. You're in freeze mode. And you know what is very interesting? Krishna doesn't scold Arjuna. He holds that space. He listens to. Go on, go on with all your, whatever you're experiencing. So I want to introduce this book to you. This book is like a real solution for that paralysis of analysis, overthinking issues that we have. Because in isolation, our mind takes shelter of all this loss of identity, mental distress, resentment, fear, anxiety. But when we take shelter of Krishna, for example, let me read this. Let me see if that comes here. So Arjuna is saying, I can no longer stand. My mind is reeling. That's the 130 verse. So he is speaking of the concept of not being able to find solution on his own, not being able to stand on his own feet, so to speak. And one of the symbols in the lotus feet of Krishna, you can turn to step 2 in the book. So symbol is umbrella. Okay, showing here. It's a new book actually. It's called Crossing Over Obstacles. If anybody is interested in Munich, we can leave some and they can take a copy. You can book a copy. The umbrella represents divine shelter, reminding us that Krishna protects those who take refuge in him. It signifies that no storm, no suffering, and no distress can harm us when we surrender under his lotus feet. So I trust that Krishna's mercy can heal my brokenness and lead me back to wholeness. See, because only Krishna can restore us to sanity, just like in Arjuna's case, nobody could actually help him. So if we can acknowledge that my life and my struggles, they are meant for a higher purpose, and that if I take shelter of Krishna's umbrella, the umbrella also represents, our acharyas say that that's Giri Govardhan. Because Krishna lifted Giri Govardhan, but it's up to me whether I'll go and stand under it or I'll be crying outside in the rain and get wet. So if I seek his shelter is available for me. So the breaking point where thought paralyzes action, that spinning mind, in this case of Arjuna or ourselves, then the dizziness of over-analysis that prevents us from moving forward. And then we get stuck. And that can happen. Today, Gaurangi was telling me how this can happen even with our daily sadhana. It can happen with our chanting, it can happen with our duties, it can happen with our studying. This paralysis, we don't move forward. And then sometimes it becomes 6 p.m. and I haven't chanted a single round. It happens to me too. Why that happens? Because I'm letting my ego and my weak parts lead me, instead of letting Krishna say, Krishna, I want to live for you. And Krishna is not here to punish. So the truth is this: we no longer need to control everything. because Krishna is here. He's holding up the umbrella. All I need to do is just go and ask him to restore me to sanity. Just admit, Krishna, today I'm feeling lazy. Krishna, today I'm feeling fearful. Please protect my consciousness today and uplift me. And there is the symbol of Urdhva Rekha. That's actually the step 3. That's one of my favorite ones. That's about surrendering our will to Krishna. The upward curving line in Krishna's lotus feet. This mark signifies that those who cling to Krishna's feet will never fall, but will always be lifted higher. So whenever I'm down, I'm sad, if I can just meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna and that Urdhva Rekha, and just meditate on it and hold on to that, and then Krishna will lift my spirits up. Then we may get an inspiration. Let me go and read this book. Let me go and read a verse of my, read a quote of my spiritual master, or read a verse of Bhagavad Gita, or let me call a friend and talk about Krishna. Some inspiration will be lifted. It also indicates that Krishna's mercy reaches even in the lowest souls, offering a direct path to him. And I mean, I personally experienced this particular thing. Sometimes I experience that all my plans didn't work out. And then I feel down, I feel lost. But then when I go and remember the lotus feet of Krishna, the Urdhva Rekha, the lotus feet of Krishna, I'm meditating on holding to it. And then I say, Krishna, I let go of control. Now I give you my control. Let my heart align with your will. Then Krishna can lift me up. In other words, I can't hold to the Urdhva Rekha with the consciousness and the mentality that I will do it. We need that humility to say, Krishna, my plans failed. You please take care of it. So it's a very powerful meditation, because surrender is not passive. Surrender it takes great trust. The illusion that I am in control, that's what has to be given up. And this upward curving line on Krishna's lotus feet shows that I'm willing to surrender. And then the limitations of my fear, my doubts, my anxiety, everything is gone. So the prayer is, let go and let Govinda. Krishna, I release my grip on control, for I know your will is greater than mine. Lift me from darkness, carry me beyond fear, and guide me upward. I surrender to your divine plan, trusting that you will take me where I need to be. Let my steps follow the path of your lotus feet. Lead me only to you. See, this was Arjuna's consciousness. Shishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. He just said, Krishna, you lift me from the darkness. Krishna, you lift me from the fear. I surrender to your divine plan. And let's go further. Next, we are discussing about the psychology behind Arjuna's dilemma. Why is it difficult? And take shelter of Krishna. Because the truth is this, we don't suffer from the situation itself, whatever it may be. We suffer from the mind's story about it. That was what was happening with Arjuna. Krishna is present there. Yudhishthir Maharaj is present. Bhishma wanted him to fight. Everybody is ready. The battlefield is right there. And he's like, Kim no rajyena Govinda, Kim bhoger jivitena va. He's like giving up. So Bhagavad Gita is showing that if we take shelter of Krishna, then our story can be rewritten. But let's look at the psychology behind Arjuna's dilemma. The sources of Arjuna's mental crisis. What were the sources? Number one, he was over-personalizing the situation. Over-personalizing. He was seeing family, friends, opposition. He wasn't able to do his duty. He was like, oh my God, Bhishma is there. Oh my God, Drona is there. Please bring verse 21 of the first chapter, he says, bring the chariot, Krishna. I want to see who has come here to fight. Already he's wavering, Krishna understood. He's over-personalizing here. He's trying to see who's here, who's the friend, who's the enemy, who is here, who are my opponents. And then the second thing he did, he's projecting future sorrow. Oh, how many times do I do that? Every day. He says like, what joy will remain even if we win? He's asking, and Prabhupada says, because his nature was, if everybody is dead, who am I going to show off that I won the war? So Prabhupada says that in the purport. So sometimes I'm projecting, what if she says like that? What if he says like this? What if I want to go to the temple? I want to do this service, but I don't feel confident. I haven't, whatever the doubts may be, we project the future. Nothing has happened. The truth is, maybe somebody may say, oh, thank you so much for coming. I really needed your help. But in our minds, we think, maybe they will ask why you didn't come all this time. That's the way that mind projects, right? Projects the story. So there's a big difference between fact and story. The fact is, the other person didn't say Hare Krishna. The story is they don't like me anymore. Right? The fact is, the husband didn't bring you a gift. And the story is he doesn't love me. So there's always a difference between fact and story. And in Arjuna's case, attachment to outcomes rather than duty. That was another layer which was covering Arjuna from complete surrender. He was thinking, if this happens, if that happens, if everybody is dead, what's the point of winning the war? He's really attached to the results and he's not able to perform the duty. Oh, that happens to me all the time. I'm constantly thinking, how many views will my video get? Instead of thinking of the service itself, how many people will come to the class? So the attachment to outcomes rather than duty, it discourages me from aligning to Krishna's will. Then the story is the repetitive thing. Previous life, I did the same thing. Next life, I may do the same thing. Unless and until I say, may Krishna's will and not mine be done, I'll always be stuck. Okay, any comments? Any reflections?
Yeah, we think about the
control the outcomes, right? I think thinking about outcomes is healthy, but trying to control the outcomes is difficult. But for Krishna, it's good to say how many books will I distribute, how many people came to Rath Yatra, but then to try to control it, and when things don't go our way, then we suffer from that. And then the next point I think is related to forgetting his spiritual identity as Krishna's instrument. I think that was his core, and that's also our core. Forgetting that I'm Krishna's servant, forgetting that I belong to Krishna. And then I get stuck into other roles. Then identifying with ego, my plan, my fear, my people, my relatives, my friends, my sorrow, my citizens, in his case. And in our case, my self-image, my pleasure, my pain, me, aham mameti. There's a Vaishnavacharya who says, ನಾನು ನನ್ನದು ಎಂಬ ನರಕದೊಳಗೆ ಬಿತ್ತು ನೀನೇ ಗತಿ ಎಂದು ನಂಬಿದ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ. So it says me and mine is actually a hell. Krishna, I have fallen into this me and mine. So please lift me up from that situation. Again, the Urdhva Rekha that represents not just when I'm sad that Krishna lifts me up, also when I'm proud in my illusion that I'm the boss, I'm the control, Krishna can lift me up from that illusion also. So these same patterns create our mental dilemmas today. All these things we read, what Arjuna went through, is similar in our case also. So what's the solution? The spiritual solution is taking shelter. The Shishyasteham Sadhimam Tvam Prapannam, where he says, I am your disciple, I surrender unto you. Please instruct me, becoming open, becoming willing to take shelter of Krishna, to be guided. When that's when Arjuna stops analyzing. Until then, he's analyzing all kinds of things. Then he surrenders, right? So that's the turning point for Arjuna's journey. And fortunately, how much time the whole Bhagavad Gita took? They say 2 hours, 4 hours, they say. 4 hours. So within 4 hours, he had complete self-realization because he was ready. And maybe it takes us 4 decades if we are lucky. So we are standing in the Kurukshetra of our own minds, facing choices, right? Surrender is often seen as weakness in the material world, but spiritually, it's actually the most courageous act. One of our Sangal Mataji's, Rajmanjari Mataji, she was saying how Krishna's journey began not with strength. Sorry, Arjuna's journey began not with strength. It began with weakness. So our beginning of spiritual life sometimes begins with weakness, not with strength. So it's the most courageous act to say that I no longer rely on my own ego. I am open for Krishna to touch me, I'm ready to be touched by grace. So Arjuna had 2 options, okay? One is continue overthinking. We also have 2 options always. Continue overthinking. I'm too old to do this. I'm too young to do this. I'm a woman. I'm a man. I'm a child. I don't know scriptures yet. I didn't do this. Some or another reason to not progress spiritually. Then remain trapped in that endless loop of doubt, mental fatigue, negative thinking, anxiety, what people will think, or what if I look bad, all this loop of overthinking. Or the second option is take shelter at Krishna's lotus feet and surrender that mental burdens, identifying that these are my mental burdens, and then go to Krishna and take shelter of every symbol in the lotus feet, like the thunderbolt. The thunderbolt shatters illusions, just as self inventory destroys self deception and reveals the truth. So we'll pause here about this thunderbolt and why it shatters illusion. There are two types of illusion. One illusion is to think I'm in control of life. Another illusion is to think I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the intelligence. That is also an illusion. Because self inventory, if I take an honest self inventory, actually I can see Krishna has given me these gifts. And then if I take honest self inventory, I say, I think I was wrong, the other person was right. Honestly, if I see there's both positive aspects of illusion and then there are negative aspects of illusion, and both needs to be destroyed. By destroyed meaning transformed. Like a lightning bolt illuminating darkness, Krishna's mercy helps us see ourselves clearly without fear. Two ways of fear, right? One fear is what if other person takes control? Another fear is what if I go there and people will see my capacity? If I give class, everybody will know this is my capacity. So what if I'm exposed? So this concept of the thunderbolt of Krishna's lotus feet is about facing the truth of who we truly are, honestly, behind all those rationalizations, behind denial, behind avoidance. Then we know that Krishna's lotus feet gives us the strength to do the service that Krishna has chosen us to do. And Krishna's grace pierces through those illusions that we have carried, and it helps us move. And it's been true in my own personal life. I have seen that the more I was able to admit honestly, I was able to make two sides of self inventory. Here is where my negative habits are: laziness, procrastination, criticism, all that. But then there is also the other side of it, such as I don't appreciate that Krishna has given me these facilities. I keep thinking I'm not good enough. I keep criticizing myself. So there's two sides of self inventory. One self inventory I need to embrace with gratitude. Thank you, Krishna, for giving me these talents. Another side is like, Krishna, please help me to overcome these negative patterns. The more I neglect and deny the positive things Krishna has given me, the more I will be remaining in the negative. So it goes hand in hand. So that's what Arjuna was able to do. I no longer rely on my ego, because Arjuna had two sides of it, right? One side he was thinking, I can't do this. I Kimno Rajyana Govinda. I don't want anything. That's negative. It's not healthy. On another hand, it was the same Arjuna who was showing off everywhere, defeating the Devatas. So sometimes all we need to do is take one step. You don't have to figure it all out. That's what I learned from these verses of Gita, that it's okay to be where we are as long as I'm going towards Krishna, and let Krishna do the rest. Okay, so let's see what are the psychological impact of divine shelter. Okay, the barley corn effect, that's actually step one in this book. The barley corn is the step one, the symbol. Our struggles, no matter how vast they seem, become insignificant under Krishna's shelter, just as the journey of many lifetimes shrinks in comparison to divine grace. And barley represents nourishment, just as Krishna's mercy sustains and strengthens the soul when we let go of self-will. So I accept that my self-will has failed, and I humbly surrender to Krishna's guidance to find peace. So the psychological effect, first thing is it breaks patterns of ego control. That's the first step. And it gives the restless mind much needed rest, because the mind is not going to deliver me. Krishna is going to deliver me. Krishna needs to deliver the mind as well. And then the barley corn effect is also about nourishment. The corn, it's what nourishes our body, so it also nourishes our soul with Krishna's mercy. And then the umbrella effect, I said about taking shelter, it calms our fears, it makes our anxiety go away, and it replaces isolation with divine connection. This is really true. If you have some time, you can sit down and meditate on it. Then It also creates a safe space amidst life's storms. And always remember, whenever you think of that umbrella, think of Giri Govardhan. Krishna lifted it. Let me go and take shelter under the hill. And the Urdhva the Urdhva effect is releases the need for control. It elevates consciousness beyond problems, aligns personal will with divine purpose. All right. So, from overthinking to divine peace, Bhagavad Gita is not theoretical. It's actually a divine dialogue meant to guide our soul out of confusion. And there are 3 steps that we should remember today. RST. First, R stands for recognizing. Krishna appreciated the fact that Arjuna didn't deny his struggles. See, Duryodhana, he was denial all the time. He was just boasting. Paryaptam tadasmakam, everything. Ours is great, and I'm this and I'm that. But Arjuna is very honest and he's not denying. He did not deny his struggle. So, recognition. Arjuna was recognizing. So, it's important in my life, in our lives, if you have to overcome overthinking, first you have to recognize what is my pattern of overthinking? Where does it come? Where does it kick in? Second, surrender that. Sometimes we think surrender means I have to surrender highest top level. I have to give up all my job and my money and my desires. Sometimes it's just one thought of surrendering that thought, overthinking today. Please take this away from me. You please restore me to sanity. Arjuna, he turned to Krishna, not to himself. He didn't try to fix himself. So surrender means, Krishna, I have this overthinking problem. Krishna, I have this laziness problem. Krishna, I remember when Prabhupada disciples used to tell me, Krishna is like my secretary. I tell him, Krishna, remind me at 7 o'clock, I need to do this. So it's about that connection. Whatever it is, Krishna likes when we think of him. Oh, let me just. And then the third is the transforming. So it's not about killing it. It's not about destroying, but it's about transformation. Through guidance, we don't beat ourselves up. We should be kind to ourselves. We need to gain clarity. Why am I overthinking here? What are my, okay, I fear this will happen and that will happen. Like recognition of, and then we can transform that. So the Bhagavad Gita is not just a book. It is a map for the restless mind. I like to say it like that. Maps are so helpful. I get completely lost without maps, especially in Germany. I don't even understand the signs. What is written here? I can't see the boards, and it's like without maps, it's like so confusing. And of course, for maps, we need internet. That's a different concept. So Arjuna's struggles mirrors our own. So it's not just some Bhagavad Gita book that sits in our altar. And Krishna's lotus feet are still there, waiting for us to surrender. And Giri Govardhan, Krishna already held it up. It's up to me to go there or get wet in the miseries of material life. All right. We covered this, recognize, acknowledge your overthinking patterns, just as Arjuna recognized his distress, surrender, take shelter as Krishna's lotus feet through prayer, mantra, and devotion, transform, experience that mental shift, a mental shift from mental turmoil to spiritual clarity and peace. So you can move from that identification of thinking I am the thoughts to alignment with no, I'm Krishna's. I'm whatever Krishna wants, I will do it. So Krishna doesn't need you to be perfect. Never. Krishna, he just needs you to take shelter, just to connect with him. He just needs that you recognize in the Kurukshetra, in your own world, in your own mental world, you're ready to have that consciousness be raised. Like I always tell myself, don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with what you were yesterday. One step ahead, one more step forward. So we'll read one more prayer. And if you have any comments or questions, it's a good time. Let's have a discussion. And we can also have a meditation. So this is becoming ready for Krishna to remove our defects, because we have to be ready for it. He's not going to do it unless we ask him. When in the 11th canto, Uddhava asks Krishna, why did you leave the Pandavas to lose in the dice game? And Krishna says, I was waiting that they will call me. I was waiting at the door. And he says, I was waiting that Yudhishthira will call me before he throws the dice. He didn't call me. And then he lost Bhima. He lost Arjuna also. I thought that at least at that time, Bhima and Arjuna will call me. They didn't call me. I was waiting at the door. And only Draupadi called. So Krishna will not interfere unless I become ready to let Krishna remove those defects of character. And Krishna tells Uddhava, Bhima and Arjuna, they were criticizing everybody in the assembly. They were saying, Dhritarashtra didn't save, Bhishma didn't save, Drona didn't save. Not once they say, Krishna, come and save us. So he says, because Uddhava says you're supposed to be Apat Bandhava and all that. You're supposed to go and save. They are your devotees. Why you didn't go and save them? He says, because they didn't call me. So this step, this is in this book. I speak about this in the 6th step. Step 6 is all about becoming ready, Krishna, to remove our defects. So let's take a deep breath, meditate on this beautiful symbol of the lotus on the lotus feet of Krishna. The lotus flower thrives in mud, but rises above it, untouched by impurities. The lotus represents divine transformation, teaching us that humility, trust, and surrender allow Krishna to refine us. I open my heart to transformation, knowing that Krishna's grace can lift me beyond my flaws. So in this step, when we become ready, it's not anymore about clinging to our defects. Oh, I am lazy. Not that we identify ourselves with those defects, but we recognize that that's not me. And I would like Krishna to remove those from me. So becoming ready for Krishna to transform it. We don't just throw away, right? If the milk goes bad, we don't just throw it away. We make cheese out of it. So this step is about the preparation and willingness. And once I've identified the character defects, then I become willing to let go. But if I don't know what are my character defects, how will I let go? So some people's strengths are they're very, they have very good leadership skills. They take responsibility, they jump into position, maybe give them a microphone, they'll speak with confidence. That's their strength. Maybe lessons for them is to stay quiet or stay humble or listen, maybe some people's problem. But some other people, they may be very good at listening, but their challenge might be that to show up, to assert themselves and say, I don't like the way you treat me. I don't like you to talk to me in this way. I don't like to listen to all your criticism. So that is an anartha also. So there are two sides to anarthas. One side of anartha is something I'm strong, but I need to develop soft aspects. And in some cases, I may be developed in soft attitudes and qualities, but I may be lacking in speaking up, taking a stand, drawing boundaries. It's very important to have that balance. So that's the mood here, unclenching the fist. Krishna, I surrender all that I am to you. I ask not for my will, but for yours, just as the lotus rises untouched by the mud. Lift me beyond my defects. Let me bloom in the purity of your love, trusting that you will shape me into what I was always meant to be. I humbly place myself in your hands. So these are some meditations, and I'll read a little poetry that I wrote from this. From mud to bloom. From mud I rose, from soil unclean, a trembling leaf in waters mean. Yet Krishna's hands, so soft, so true, can make the dark a thing anew. A lotus bright, unsustained, unfaced, will bloom in light of mercy's grace. No fault too deep, no past too grim, for those who give themselves to him. So that is our readiness to allow Krishna to remove us from the chains of our own self-made sorrows and self-made restrictions. I will pause here and see if anybody has any comments, questions, if you like any part you want to read. And devotees, if you have any feedback, any comments that you like to share, what did you learn from this presentation? What did you like? Or if you have any questions.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for a very wonderful class and very important theme. I have one question. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we read that there are 9 processes of devotional service, and one of them is Pada Sevanam, worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna. So, what actually means Pada Sevanam? Because only one example I remember in this context is Lakshmi ji is serving the lotus feet of Krishna. But actually, what is the meaning of Pada Sevanam and how to practice it? And this I want to know.
Yeah, very nice question. What does it mean, Padasevanam? It actually just said that even one of these 9 processes, if we practice nicely, we will be attaining Krishna's abode, Krishna's lotus feet. Okay, so let me see if there's any reference to exactly what the worshipping of the lotus feet here, if I brought it up. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 22nd chapter, text 39. The devotees who have accepted the lotus feet of the Lord as their only shelter never experience fear, even in the midst of great calamities. So, my understanding is that, yeah, like you said, Lakshmi Devi is serving the lotus feet of Krishna. There's so many ways to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. I'm thinking the gopis in Vrindavan will make so many ornaments from flowers. They may sew buds and beads and make it so beautiful. And some of the gopis might decorate the lotus feet of Krishna with so many paintings and the red nails and nail art and all the other beautification of the lotus feet and lotus toes in Mayapur also. Sometimes I get this service. One of my services is to make Madhava's lotus feet garland. So we go and take different kinds of buds and flowers, and then we get to know what is next day's dress. Like, for example, if Radha is going to be wearing blue, we make with blue ribbons, and sometimes we color the white flower with blue paint overnight. And then we put the blue flowers and we make lotus garlands. Yes, thank you. So that comes to my mind that we serve Krishna and Vrindavan in that mood. And here, 7th canto, I'm reading this purport. Pada Sevanam. According to one's taste and strength, hearing, chanting, and remembrance may be followed by Pada Sevanam. One obtains the perfection of remembering when one constantly thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. Being intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet is called Pada Sevanam. I'll repeat that. Being intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet is called Pada Sevanam. When one is particularly adherent to the process of Pada Sevanam, this process gradually includes other processes, such as seeing the form of the Lord, touching the form of the Lord, circumambulating the form or the temple of the Lord, visiting such places as Jagannath Puri, Dwaraka, Mathura to see the Lord's form, and bathing in the Ganges or Yamuna. Bathing in the Ganges and serving a pure Vaishnava are also known as Tadiya Upasanam. This is also Pada Sevanam. The word Tadiya means in relationship with the Lord. Service to the Vaishnava, Tulasi, Ganges, and Yamuna are included in Pada Sevanam. It's all interconnected there. All these processes of Pada Sevanam help one advance in spiritual life very quickly. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mataji. Very nice explanation. Hare Krishna.
And I guess one of the reasons that I started meditating on these lotus symbols and connecting them with the challenges, the anarthas, and specifically like go into the depth was for that attachment. Usually we say, yeah, lotus feet of Krishna. Probably I'm now talking about it, that making garlands for Madhava's lotus feet. Constantly we would think like in our home, one of my god sisters, she has Giriraj, and on his feet, like on the back, we would draw the symbols of the lotus feet of different symbols, no? And then eventually we'd see that there are some symbols already there, symbols. And we started thinking what every symbol represents, we should actually memorize it. And then when we started memorizing this symbol, this, and then we started connecting that, oh my God, my everyday challenges are directly connected with those symbols. Krishna has all those symbols, which means he has solution to every little problem that my mind is going through. So that intrinsic connection is so beautiful. Krishna's lotus feet is like everything, no? It's the abode. It's the abode of all the devatas, and it has one of the symbols, the fish. Rupa Goswami says that the fish in the lotus feet of Krishna can only swim in a devotee's heart only if the heart of the devotee has melted through bhakti. If somebody is very hard-hearted, then that fish cannot swim in the heart. So I like that poetic understanding of how Krishna is allowing us, through the Pada Sevanam aspect, he's allowing us to melt our hearts so that the fish in his lotus feet can jump in our hearts. Anyway, that's like an esoteric level of Krishna's lotus feet. But it's a very good question that we can all meditate on. What does it mean to serve the lotus feet of Krishna? Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I see a comment in the chat box by Rajeshri. Awesome explanation. Dandavat Pranam. Became stress-free totally with your explanations. Yeah, that's the magic of the lotus feet of Krishna. Totally de-stress, free de-stress program. Okay. Anything else? Want to share something?
Also, like I can see with
Chandan.
pulling.
Yes.
So using Krishna.
Yeah. Actually, lotus feet of Krishna is very soft. Right? Mother Yashoda always wanted him to wear shoes and he didn't want to wear because the cows were not wearing. And then Nanda Maharaj made sure that the cows also got their shoes. Krishna is very... In this book, you can see Krishna is lying down. It's a special mood. He's lying down. And yeah, I will be sharing the video of more comments and testimonials for this book when we do the release. Okay, if anybody has any other questions, otherwise we can end here. Okay, we'll end with this one. I wandered long, believing strong that I alone must lead the way. Yet all I built would crack and fall. A castle made of shifting clay. So now I kneel, my hands unclasped, before the feet that end my strife. Like barley nourishes the weak, your mercy is my only life. Thank you very much. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much, Krishna.